keeps performing week by week, and they've had a bye week, and hopefully that gets Brian Wesco back on the field. But I think it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, I kind of agree. With Cole said, this is a little team that has shown it can score in a lot of different ways. However, this is a team that has just, been skating by, in some of their wins. I think you're looking at a four high win against Virginia and the same against BC. So this honestly, I think that nationally, a lot of these analysts are trying to scare Clemson, but honestly, I just don't see it.
Yeah, they're really pushing the narrative with like Pitt and Miami right now, and I feel like they're kind of Clemson's on the afterburner a little bit.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a really close game, honestly, and I think it's going to come down to Clemson's run defense because you look at Louisville running the ball. They have 4 guys with over 150 rushing yards on the season, and they have a really good freshman running back who has 649 rushing yards heading into the game and 6 touchdowns. So I think our run defense is going to have a massive part, and who comes away with the win in that. I also think both teams are really well coached, obviously, and I'm really looking at the quarterback play. I think that this is a great quarterback matchup, and both quarterbacks are having really good seasons. Obviously, Cade Klubnik is on the Heisman radar right now, so I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep that up against a Louisville defense that is the weak point of their team for sure. They gave up 52 points to Miami, and that's where I think that this Louisville team is really vulnerable is defensively.
Yeah. I think this is a game where we really need to see our starters on defense play a complete 4 quarters. I mean, even if we go out there and score a lot of points in the first half, I feel like, this is a big game, especially for Louisville and Clemson to keep that resume going for the ACC title race, trying to knock Miami and SMU out as well, not even playing them. But, as soon as the starters get taken out each week on defense, it's like we give up, 21 in a quarter or something like that. So, I mean, this Louisville offense isn't going to let go. And so if they get that, they could be down 21, but if we take our starters out on defense, they're just going to keep throwing the ball deep and keep it close eventually, kind of like the Virginia game. It was what was his final score? It was like 31 something. But I just think this is a game your starters on defense have to play full 4 quarters, or it's just going to keep showing that weakness with the backups.
Yeah, especially with that running back. I feel like if we can shut him down, that'll be a huge key component. Even though that quarterback's old, and I think he'll I think the first half will be pretty close, and I'm hoping Clemson can kind of come through in the end. But definitely, defense needs to play the entire game.
Yeah, and I don't think that this Louisville team is going to be rattled by the red environment, honestly. I think that this is aside from their running back, I think that this is a very experienced Louisville team with an experienced coaching staff, and I think that team is going to be ready to come into Death Valley and not have a lot of nerves like we've seen with NC State, who had a young quarterback out there. We've seen a lot of young players come into Death Valley for it seems like this season, and be rattled a little bit by the atmosphere. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Louisville responds to that. Obviously, it's a night game, and it's going to be loud in there. But I think it's going to be that's going to have a big part in the game too, is both teams' experience.
Yeah, we're hoping for another close one. Close one like what year was that? It came down to the end. Sean Watson and
Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar. I mean, I'm
2016.
yeah, we're hoping for a close game like that, or we want that excitement.
I don't want to. Not really, because then look, Louisville's defense isn't crazy good. So if they're holding us on offense to not scoring as much, I'm gonna be worried. But you gotta look at that Louisville team in 2016. They had a lot of studs. Of course, you had Lamar Jackson. That was probably one of the loudest games I've ever been to in Death Valley, and it was crazy. But I expect our offense this week to keep on with their foot on the gas and keep scoring. I think this all comes down to our defense. And like Evan said, our run defense, can we keep up with that running back? I do think so. But at the end of the day, if we're gonna hold Louisville to as many points as possible, you got to keep those starters in. And I think our coaching staff will do make the right adjustments in doing that. But how Dabo's gonna play the backups if we get up a big lead. But then Louisville's just gonna start scoring, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. You have to, tip your hat to Scott Satterfield and what he has done with Louisville. He took over a program that was just channels. They were getting their ass kicked every week. And now he has right to be competitive. So, he has, come to Death Valley. He has seen it. He has coached in the biggest games. So, he isn't going to be scared. And so I think, that this Louisville team is going to take on the mindset of their head coach. They're going to come in here, looking to shock the world.
Yeah, and I think too that this Louisville team, obviously they have 3 losses. They're out of the playoff race at this point, but they still have the opportunity to ruin a lot of teams' seasons and shake things up in the ACC, and they'll be looking to do that this week. And my eye right now is really on that first quarter. Obviously, we're coming off of a bye week, so I'm interested to see if we have a slow start after some time off. And I'm interested to see if this Clemson defense keeps up their great play in the first quarter, where we've only given up 1 touchdown the entire season in the first quarter and 10 points overall in the first quarter of games. And I think that first quarter is going to have a huge part in the way that game turns out.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that the defense is sick and tired of hearing how shitty they have played and how they're the weak link on this team. I think that you forget their guys like TJ Harker, he was Eric Carr. They're studs on that defense. They're sick and tired of hearing how, just awful they have it. And so I expect them to come out and really, take it to Louisville.
Yeah, especially holding the edge. I feel like they've been, especially this week, it was asked a lot of the guys we got to talk to. That's been an issue even with the starters in. And even Dabo kind of brought it up, saying that obviously Louisville's going to take that to advantage, knowing that they've struggled with it. And it just comes down to just stopping the run like we've talked about.
Yeah. And against run-heavy teams, they have hair up. Just look at the FSU game. That was a run-heavy team with a great running back. I think we held them to 60 high yards. So, they can do it. It's just they are, playing a complete game.
Yeah. Go ahead, Evan.
I was going to say it's worth pointing out too that that this freshman running back, they love passing to him out of the backfield too. He has over 130 yards receiving on the season. So I mean, like we've talked about, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if we're able to shut him down in the run game. But it's also going to be interesting to see how much attention we pay to him in the passing game, and if he can sneak out there and get open for a pass out of the backfield on a little screen pass or something. It's going to be interesting to see how we go about defending him the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, like 15 less carries than Phil Maffa, and he's right there in the same yard range rushing. And he's got 6 touchdowns. So, freshman running back like that, I think it kind of shows. It's going to show how tough our run defense is if we can stop Isaac Brown, and I really do think we can. But like I said, I think it just comes down. Even if we have a lead, you got to keep those guys in, and limit the damage, because if you look at the box score, and I'm not a huge box score watcher, but in the second half, we're just getting plummeted with offense by the other teams when our backups are. And I'm not saying they suck or anything, but like, you just gotta step up. If you want to play a role, you got to keep playing ball, and fight for your argument that you should be out there playing.
I'll say the beginning of the second quarter, we love also giving up touchdowns. Beginning of the second quarter is our nemesis. It seems like giving up that first touchdown of the game to teams.
Ever find yourself needing custom gear that really stands out? At Carolina Printing Sports and Trophy in Hartsville, SC, we personalize everything from t-shirts to trophies, making sure your brand or team logo pops. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, or dazzling plaques, we've got you covered. Swing by today and let's create something unique just for you.
The last couple of weeks, he's definitely come in first thing and just been like, really good team, really good quarterback. It's going to be tough. We're really going to have to execute. We're really going to have to practice hard this week. And it's kind of like, all right, Dabo, we get what.
Yeah, it's almost like listening to Lou Holtz, when he was in South Carolina. Every week they were, playing Alabama, and it just kind of got old to hear it. This is what you ought to hear if you are a Clemson fan, because it means that your team is, expected to do something special each and every week.
Dabo's going to make any team we play look like they're the number one team in the country. And, kind of like the Wake game. They were a two-win team going in that game. He's like, yeah, and we're going to have to practice really hard. And, they got a lot of weapons. They like to score a little bit. And I was like, I hope not. But, at the end of the day, we blew them out. But I think he's serious about this week because he knows the pieces behind this Louisville offense. And, outside of their 5-3 record, they could easily be undefeated at 1 loss at most. They're good, and this quarterback is going to come in here ready to throw the ball. So I think this is one of our biggest tests of the year, and our next 3 games are really tough, I will say.
Yeah, definitely a little tough road ahead of us here.
Nah.
Hey, I'm trying to be like Dabo. I'm trying to hype it up. It's a Super Bowl here each week, the next couple weeks.
I hope that game in Blacksburg. I would love a night game in Blacksburg, but those fans are going to be rocking. And I went in 2017, or was it 16 or 17? It was crazy. It's not a huge stadium, but it's loud. And, a lot of people say it's louder than Neyland Stadium. And, but
no shot.
I've seen stuff on Twitter, and a Tennessee fan agreed on it because, like, the small impact. I don't know. Tennessee is huge. You got to think all that sound's going somewhere. It's all in one piece. But You know, I don't, and I think, you know, this week, speaking, I want to get in a little bit about, you know, that ACC title race and, you know, how us and Miami and SMU all avoid each other. And I think, you know, Pitt and SMU play this weekend. I don't know if they play Friday or Saturday. So I think that's going to be a tough matchup, and we'll see how good Pitt is in that game. So it's going to be a fun couple of weeks of college football coming up for us and a few of our ACC neighbors.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of sick about hearing about the Pitt and Miami garbage going around.
Yeah.
There's a little too much hype, I feel like.
Yeah. You know, I'm not saying I don't think Pitt's I don't think they're a really good team. Obviously, they're undefeated, but, you know, they've played a lot of close games this year, but we want them to keep winning for our sake. We really want them to win this weekend, and, you know, we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how really good they are, and if that matchup in 2 weeks has any hype to it or not.
Cole and I were talking on our show earlier this week about the playoff here, which is coming up faster than people might think. But we were talking about how we think the only scenario where 2 ACC teams get into the playoffs is if Miami is one of those ACC teams, and then either us, SMU, or Pitt, I guess, is the other one. But we think if Miami doesn't get in, then it's going to be whoever wins the ACC championship gets in. What do you all think about that, Jeremy and Zach?
Well, I feel like, if Miami and Clemson win out, I feel like I think either way, if you win or lose ACC, both those teams would be in.
I agree.
That's why
I'm saying. That's why I'm saying Miami, we think, would have to get in for there to be 2 because of that scenario.
Yeah, I think, that is the only way that the ACC gets 2 teams.
Say, for instance, SMU and Miami, say all 3 of us went out. Of course, Miami and SMU go on to play in the ACC title game. Mm-hmm. And say we went out, though. So we're 11-1, you know, waiting for Selection Sunday. We're just hoping, and say SMU beats Miami in the ACC championship. So obviously that locks SMU in, and they're not going to leave Miami out. So what do they do with a 1-loss Clemson team? Do you put 3 ACC teams in then?
I think
no. They put Clemson at like 35, like they actually would.
Honestly, everything I have seen, from the tiebreakers says that if all 3 teams go undefeated, that as it stands right now, Clemson still gets in over SMU, because like the opponent's winning percentage is higher for Clemson than SMU, and actually is higher than Miami. So honestly, this stuff is talked about every year. At this time, you're always like, oh my God, what's going to happen? 3 or 4 or 5 teams are right there, and it always happens that it works itself out. Pitt gets SMU this week. Duke goes to Miami this week. We get, Pitt and Curry. So, everyone that is, freaking out, they got all these, scenarios and stuff. Just calm down. It works itself out every year. SMU has, play a garbage schedule until this week. And let's face it, Miami should have 2 losses already. So, just just calm down. It's going to work itself out, and Clemson is going to be just fine.
Before, go ahead,
Evan.
Jeremy. Oh,
I just think it's gonna be interesting that whenever, let's say, someone doesn't win their conference that maybe we're supposed to, and it pushes either back, so someone who maybe was in that 11-12 spot gets booted last minute, or it's going to be interesting to see if someone maybe comes from a little bit outside last minute, and moves in, and kind of, there's always going to be some kind of controversy with it no matter what, but it's going to be interesting.
One controversy I was thinking about, I was going to say, does the committee put in, I think they do, but do y'all think the committee puts in a 2-loss SEC team over a 1-loss Clemson team?
Yeah.
If we don't, for whatever reason, make it to the ACC championship, does the committee favor a 2-loss SEC team over 1-loss Clemson?
I guess it depends on who it is.
Well,
I mean, it
depends
depends
on
what
who it
game
is.
it is.
But I mean, the committee doesn't like Clemson. Nobody likes Clemson, to be honest with you. So who knows? Really, you can't really guess right now, because, and I'm not saying Florida State should have made the playoffs last year because of I mean, they were undefeated, yes, but so like Kirk Herbstreit's point about it, you lost your starting quarterback. All these guys, some guys were hurt, and this thing's like, you got to look at the teams behind you, and you're not going to go in there and win the playoffs with Brock Glenn at quarterback. So it's kind of tough to see that, and it probably would be a 2-loss Ole Miss team or something. Who knows? Yeah. But I don't think you can leave a 1-loss Clemson team that
or if Ohio State loses at Penn State this weekend, that's a 2-loss Ohio State team. What do you do with them?
2 losses to Oregon and Penn State, which shows they can't win any big games. So
yeah, but Oregon and Penn State are also both ranked top 4.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to look, if we're a 1-loss team, we're a 1-loss team to Georgia, which is week 1, and look at the numbers week 1, and then we'll look at the rest of the numbers through the year. They're going to be like, okay, this is a different Clemson offense, and who knows?
I agree, but I don't think the committee thinks like that.
No, they won't care about that.
Mm-hmm. So who
knows?
knows?
It's going to be interesting if Ohio, if they did lose this weekend against Penn State. I mean, they're not going to fall very far. Even I feel like if they did lose against somebody that maybe wasn't as ranked high, they still necessarily wouldn't fall very far.
Yeah, and I think too that the defense of Ohio State would be, they went to Oregon and came away with a close loss, and then they had another road game at Penn State, and another, if it's a close game, another close loss. So 2 top 4 teams where they were the road team in both. I think if one of those games was a home game, it hurts them a lot more than them going on the road and playing a close game where they came out on the wrong side of it.
Oh yeah, and this Tuesday we get our first look at the actual ranking. So that is going to give us a good gauge on exactly how we could use Clemson, SMU, Ohio State, Georgia, and look, as awful as they have looked, Alabama is still in this thing. They're sitting there at 15. So there is all kinds of stuff that can happen, and it's going to happen over these next 4 weeks.
Yeah, and you have a team like Ole Miss too, who's number 19, but I don't think they're out of it by any means. I think that almost all those SEC teams right now that have 1 loss are all still obviously in it, regardless of where they're at in the rankings. I think they can easily climb up. It's going to be interesting to see for sure.
Well, it's like Texas A&M, them jumping up this past week after winning.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows that you can jump from further, just because who you win against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and LSU, is talking about them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say right now, if the playoffs started today, LSU would be in the playoffs, obviously, despite that loss. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. Whichever way it goes, there's going to be a lot of controversy around it. First year, obviously, with the 12-team playoff, and a lot of people are going to be upset.
You know they're gonna ride the SEC. You know they're gonna ride the wave. But I mean, hey, Alabama could lose a third game. They're gonna say, where can we put Alabama in the 12-team playoffs? Especially Paul Feinbaum. We'll see what he has to say. He finally said something positive about Clemson last week.
Yeah, but he looked a little dead in that video, though.
I mean, he
looked like he was in a closet.
Had somebody in front of him was like, "Hey, you say this," or nah. But you know, it's tough. We just got to keep winning and keep playing offensively good, and keep that defense rolling, and it'll all play out like Zach said. Can't worry too much about it.
So let's go ahead and start getting some of our picks. So we have, arguably the biggest game in the ACC this week. Thoughts on this one, guys? As Pitt trials to SMU.
I think Cole, you got it.
Okay. I think this is a big matchup for these two teams. You know, both are undefeated in conference. You know, SMU's got one loss to BYU, but Pitt's coming this game undefeated. Pitt's got to travel to Dallas. This is one of SMU's biggest matchups, and it's going to be one of the biggest matchups for sure because these two teams are fighting for Charlotte, fighting for a playoff chance. And at the end of the day, I mean, look at these quarterbacks. I mean, they're not far off the same numbers. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think SMU does have the better offense at the end of the day, but I'm picking Pitt just because we need Pitt to win and fight for our resume. So I'm going to take Pitt in this one and hope they get it done. But I think it's going to be a fourth quarter game for sure. And I think it's going to be back and forth. But give me the Panthers.
I think it's going to be a close game also. But I agree with you, Cole. I think Pitt's going to come away with it. Obviously, Clemson fans will be hoping for that too. And since Clemson doesn't match up with SMU this season, it'll be a big deal that they get that first loss so that we can find our way into the ACC championship. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, but I think Pitt's going to come away with it.
Yeah, it's like as much as I'd like to see SMU, win, that'd be funny, especially their first year in. But I definitely think it'll be a close game, fourth quarter, with Pitt coming out with the win.
Yeah, I agree with how y'all. SMU's schedule so far, has been, one of the easiest ones. And so outside of their trip to Duke last week, which, they were lucky to escape if they win. I see, Pitt, going to Dallas and welcoming SMU to the ACC in a rough fight. Now turning our attention to the SEC, Texas A&M heads to South Carolina, where a lot of the national analysts have this as an upset special. So I'll go ahead and start this one. I honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I think South Carolina is first off a really solid team. They aren't great. They aren't, anything spectacular. But that home environment, is going to be raucous and ready to roll. And Texas A&M, I still think they are a fraud and, not really deserving of that number 10. So give me the Gamecocks.
It's tough because South Carolina's defense is really, really good. I will give them their defense, But you got to look at their offense. You got to look at the quarterback position. I mean, Lenore Sellers is not good. Let's get it. I'm not saying he can't be that guy eventually, but right now he's not that guy. And, they got a fourth or fifth year backup, Robbie Ashford from Auburn, who you think you would be able to go to if, your redshirt freshman didn't work out. And then looking at Texas A&M side, you got to start Marcel Reed if you want to get any kind of offensive boost. Like me and Evan were talking Tuesday about this. You can't start Carter Wayman. I mean, he's just not good right now. His numbers aren't good. He's not leading the offense in a good way. But I mean, I really do think if they start Wayman, it's going to be tough for him because South Carolina's defense is really good. You got a lot of weapons on the front. Your secondary is not bad. Start Marcel Reed, you give your team a big chance to win, and I think South Carolina can hold Texas A&M's offense, but South Carolina's offense itself is just atrocious, and they can't hardly move the ball. I mean, outside of Mazio Bennett and Rocket Sanders, you don't have any weapons, and you can't do nothing if your quarterback can't do anything for you. So I'm taking Texas A&M in this game.
Jeremy, you go first because I know Zach's going to get mad at me.
Well, I'm Cole. You kind of took what I was already thinking. It's definitely going to be a defensive game, both sides. I think if South Carolina comes out swinging early, I think it'll go their way. But I just feel like it's going to be another one of those LSU matchups with South Carolina and like Ole Miss game where it kind of came down to this crap in the end, and South Carolina will shoot themselves in the foot. So I'm thinking Texas A&M comes out with a close one in the end.
You know what? I'm tired. Could you just call yourself an idiot?
I think that Texas A&M is one of those teams that people refuse to believe is a great team until the end of the season when they actually have shown it throughout the whole year. But I think that this Texas A&M team is a great team this season. And if they put Marcel Reed out there, obviously we don't know who it's going to be. But if they do put Marcel Reed out there, I don't think that South Carolina has any chance to keep up with them offensively, regardless of how good their defense is. And obviously South Carolina has a good atmosphere. It's going to be a tough environment for Texas A&M. But I think that they're similar to Clemson in the way that they had a tough loss week 1, and a lot of people are going to hold that loss against them. But I think that this is a completely different team since that first game. And I think that if Texas A&M played Notre Dame again, it would go a different way. And so I'm going with Texas A&M in this one, and I don't think it'll be that close either.
People talk about that crowd, but we know Williams-Brice. There'll be nobody there after the first half. Come on, they'll all be hauling to 5 points.
Let's see the two losers have to say. Hey, the Narrow Ducks heading into Michigan.
Give me Oregon by 30.
Yeah,
that'll be close.
I think it's going to be a good old-fashioned take you behind the woodshed beating. I don't think this one's – Michigan's got no chance in this one. I think give me Oregon by 35.
I'd like to point out, Zach, do you remember how much you hated my pick at the beginning of the season when I said Oregon was going to make it to the national championship? And right now they're sitting at number 1. And I know you're about to say that Oregon's going to blow out Michigan too, which I think is a funny part also. I know you're going to say it.
Yeah, they're going to absolutely slaughter them. It is going to get ugly in an hour. So that is all I have to say about that. Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, between the three of y'all, you already said everything that needs to be said. So, I mean, I'm right there with all of y'all.
All right. Now let's head over to Duke, who is traveling to Coral Gables, taking on the Hurricanes, who are 21.5 point favorites. That to me is a lot of points to give up.
Yeah. I just, Duke's going into this game into Coral Gables, but I mean, Coral Gables is not a hard atmosphere to play in. At Hard Rock, they don't sell out.
Come on, you know those 3,000 fans are going to
Okay, you're trolling. I thought you were going to tell me that they were going to sell out or something for this one. But I mean, looking at Duke's offense, I'm not saying it's crazy good, but they're not terrible. I mean, Malik Murphy coming in this game for 1,796 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, this Duke team has a chance to go into Miami and upset the number 5 team in the country. And, like I said, Miami could easily have 3 losses this season to Louisville, Virginia Tech, and Cal. Cal had that late fourth quarter choke. And, outside of Cam Ward and Restrepo, and Evan's always laughing at me in our show because I just dog Restrepo every week. But, I mean, I think this Duke team has a chance to go in here and upset them, but I'm gonna pick Miami. But I do think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because as much as I'd like Duke to go down and win, with the way Duke, was basically handed the game last week and just every opportunity and just literally could not do anything with it. It's something about playing in Miami. I just feel like with the way Miami at least has been looking for now against Duke, I think Miami will win.
I agree with y'all. I think Miami's going to come away with the win. I don't know if it'll be by 21, but I think they will come away with the win. Cam Ward, people might hate on me because everyone's high on Cade Klubnik right now, but I do think Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the ACC, and I don't think that this Duke defense will be able to stop him.
Oh, my God. Who the hell cares?
Yeah, so like that kind of sounds I thought some of this game, Duke, if they had won last week, I think that they, would have, slightly better chance to head into Coral Gables and knocking off Miami. Honestly, we can all agree that Miami should have at least 2 losses already this year. And so, for me, it's not so much if it happens this weekend, but, eventually the ACC and the refs aren't going to be able to say that. But giving Miami in a closer game than this is saying, I think maybe a 10-13 game. So now we head to the Big Ten, where Ohio State is heading to Happy Valley, and arguably one of the biggest games of the year.
Do we know if Drew Allard's playing in this one for Penn State?
Yes, he is. It was just confirmed today that he is going to. So, hurry, that changes things.
Yeah, I think that with him playing, obviously, it does give Penn State an advantage, but he's not going to be at full health out there. There's no way he will be after just 1 week. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he's able to stay up back there with a good Ohio State defensive line getting after him and knowing he's a little bit fragile right now. So I'm going to go with Ohio State in a close one.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you as well. With Drew Allard getting hurt in that game last week, and they kind of rushing him back because obviously you want your starting quarterback against the number 4 team in the country, Ohio State, who has 1 loss. But I think it's going to be a close one, and I think it all depends on how Drew Allard's health holds up in the game and how he plays. I don't know what the injury was. Was it someone with his foot, maybe?
Yeah, it was a leg injury.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be hard to hold up after 1 week, but I think I'm going to take the Buckeyes in a close one. But, I mean, I would love to see Penn State, keep building the resume and go 8-0. But I think it all depends on that quarterback position, but I'm going to take Ohio State.
I'm thinking quarterback obviously is going to be the issue with this game. But I still think, this is one of those games I feel like a lot of people watch every year. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be closer than I think. But I'm going to take Penn State in this one. Ohio, I feel like they don't play nobody. Obviously, they played Oregon, and it was a close game. And obviously, that was probably one of their better teams they were going to play up until this point. But I think Penn State comes out with a win.
Julian Fleming revenge game maybe for him at Penn State after he left Ohio State this past offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hurry. Looking at this game. Check here. Okay. So this was a night game, and you're talking, the atmosphere in Happy Valley at night is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
However, with it, being a noon kickoff, I think that helps Ohio State. So give me the Buckeyes to head into Happy Valley and knock off the Nittany Lions. So now we get to the game that we're all here for. Louisville at Clemson. Clemson is a 10.5 point favorite. So, guys, our picks and predictions are already live over on ClemsonTigers.com. So, what are y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah. I think, like we talked about it earlier, it all depends on, does Cade Klubnik and that offense keep their foot on the gas as in recent weeks? And, can that defense hold up, Louisville's run game and, hold them to as little points as possible? And I think it all depends on, with the starters on defense playing a full floor. But I think Louisville's going to score. I do a little bit. And I think we'll score 40. But I think it'll be a good game at the end of the day. But give me Clemson.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be a pretty close first half. I guess coming after bye week, you kind of just got to assume maybe it might take off a little slower than usual. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully not. Getting Wesco back, hopefully, maybe we can throw him out there. But I definitely think Clemson comes out even with 40 points. But it definitely will be pretty close. But I think Clemson third quarter coming out, adjust to the few things. As long as we're stopping the run, Clemson shouldn't have a problem in the second half.
Jeremy, I agree with you. I think that Clemson might have a little bit of a slow start after the bye week. They're averaging 42 points heading in. I think they'll get close to that, but I think it'll be a close game, and Louisville will put up some points with that very impressive run game they got. But I think Clemson will come away with a close 35-31 victory.
Yeah. I kind of disagree with you. Thinking that Clemson is going to come out slow. Their first bye that they had, they came out and absolutely looked like they hadn't taken a step back. In fact, it looked like they took like 10 steps forward. I expect, Cade and Rafa and Antonio and those guys to be ready to rock and roll around 7:30. And honestly, I expect this defense to make a statement. I think that heading into this rivalry, they heard all week long how they are the disappointment of this team, how they are the weak link. So I expect them to come out with a chip on their shoulder and to really carry this team